AITAH for getting angry at my parents after they tried entering my apartment in the middle of the night? I'm pretty upset right now. I'm 30, I moved out of my parents' house about 2.5 years ago. My parents were pretty upset about it when it happened. In Latin America, usually unmarried children stay at their parents' house until they marry. I gave my parents a copy of my keys, only to be used for emergencies. I teach at my local university. I pay my own bills, and I'm currently working on my PhD dissertation. I don't have a specific sleeping schedule, especially because I don't work a 9-to-5 job. I also don't use social media a lot. I can spend hours without opening any sort of app. Well, on Monday night I decided to keep working on my dissertation and I spent almost 24 hours awake, just in front of my computer, writing. I ordered something to eat and didn't even do anything else. On Tuesday, like at 6 p.m., I decided to finally go to sleep. At 11 p.m., I hear someone is trying to forcibly open my door. Me, having panic attacks and being on meds for that since I was 17, freaked the fuck out. However, I heard two familiar voices. I rushed to the door and see that my dad is at the entrance, along with my cousin. I asked what the fuck is going on. I think something horrible must have happened, because my parents live across the city. My dad tells me my mom freaked the fuck out because I didn't answer her calls or text messages. I go grab my phone and see that, yup, I had like 20 missed calls from my mom, cousin, and older brother. I didn't hear anything because A, I always put my phone on sleep mode at night, B, I never answer the phone after 10 p.m., and C, I was tired. I rushed out and see my mom and brother. My mom starts yelling at me for making her worry. They were annoying all the fucking building because they didn't know how to use the front door access key. My mom keeps yelling at me for not answering her calls or texts. I tell her that she messaged and called after 10:20 p.m. It's fucking late and I'm tired because I've been writing for almost 24 hours exclusively. She tells me that's no excuse, and also added she worried because my last WhatsApp connection was at like 9 a.m. I remind her she knows I don't grab my phone when I'm busy, and I also don't answer after 10 p.m. She tells me all that mess is my fault because I could have called her before going to sleep. She says she didn't know if I was okay, if something happened to me, if I went to work and didn't go back to my apartment, and many other stuff that she made up in her head. Context. I had a medical emergency a month ago. My parents came here and used my keys, taking me to the ER. My mom hasn't shut up since then and wants me to move back with them, but I left TFO because she's narcissistic. Since I moved out, I have to call her constantly when I'm out because if I don't she starts drama. She knows that if I don't call her in 1 or 2 days it's because I'm not going out. I told my parents I wanted my keys back, and my mom answered she won't return them. I told everyone to GTF away from me, at least for a few days. I feel like they have invaded my privacy. I feel vulnerable thinking they can enter my home every time they want, even when I'm out of town. My brother tells me I'm overreacting and that my mom was just worried. I remind him that our mother is the kind of person that was always asking where we were, even if we didn't leave the house. My parents' house is 50 SQM, FFS. He tells me I'm a little pos because I should have had opened WhatsApp at least, so my mom could see I was connected and fine. I told him to stop feeding into her delusions. I feel like an awe for making all of them worry about me, but I also don't feel guilty because I was just minding my own business. Edit. The medical emergency in question. I had horrible abdominal pain and couldn't move. It happened out of nowhere. I called my mom because 1. She has the phone number of the family doctor, and 2. Because the doctor didn't have the keys to enter the building. I couldn't go downstairs because I live on a 3rd floor. It ended up being a kidney stone, so no, it's not like I'm gonna having to go to the ER every once in a while. I'm overall in pretty good health. Edit number 2. I've seen people asking why I say my mom is a narcissist. Let's say I started having panic attacks at 6 yo and she would hit me to try to calm me down. I didn't receive treatment until I was 17, and was only put on meds and therapy because the doctor and nurse in that time explained to her that she was legally obligated to let me. I ended up at the ER that time due to a nervous breakdown. So yeah, 11 years of medical neglect regarding a child's mental health. I'm not buying into that. I was worried crap. That and the fact that she was emotionally and physically abusive for most of my life. She has always been a control freak, and my dad is an enabler. I actually moved away from my parents' house because of that. she threatened to physically hurt me. I didn't want to give my keys to them, but at that time I had no choice. All my friends and partner live hours away from me. I asked the landlord if I can get the lock changed and he said no, so that's not an option as for now. The issue here, apart from the keys, is that she always needs to know where I am and what am I doing. I actually called her the night before the incident, so she knew I was fine. It's not like I've been out of reach for days. I called her a few hours ago to let her know I'm alive and she actually got upset, lol. I don't even know what she wants at this point. Now to the second story. AITAH for kicking my BF out when he made the dog sleep outside. TLDR at end. My grandma owns a chihuahua named Jenny, 5 years old now, that she loves and spoils to no end. My grandpa died years ago. Recently she's had to have surgery that requires her to stay in the hospital for a few days. She's nervous about leaving Jenny with some stranger, so she stayed with me. My BF Kevin of 2 years, we live together, wasn't a huge fan of that plan. He's not allergic or anything. He said he wasn't a huge fan of spoiled, purse dogs, who do nothing but yap. I guess I can understand that, so I told him I'd do everything to take care of Jenny. It was only for a few days, so he agreed eventually. Jenny has a specific diet prepared by my grandma. If I somehow do it wrong, Jenny either refuses to eat or has a mini tantrum. It's a bit of a pain, but important to grandma, so I just do what the instructions she gave me say. She sleeps in a blanket-filled crate on the side table right next to the bed. Kevin kept complaining even though I was doing all the work. I did promise to take care of everything, but it was a bit irritating when he would just stand in the kitchen watching while I got Jenny's food ready while going on and on about how stupid the whole thing was. I decided to ignore all that since it was for only about a week. On one of the last days there was an emergency at work and I had to stay really late. One of my friends I work with said I could stay the night at her apartment that was close by. I was planning on saying no, but Kevin said I should take up her offer so I wouldn't have to drive home exhausted. He said he could take care of Jenny for one night since he had all the instructions from my grandma. By the time I finished I was still alert, so I decided to just drive home. Kevin was deep asleep with Jenny's crate still on my side table. It was dark, but I assumed she was sleeping as well. Around 3 a.m. I decided to get a snack in the kitchen. Suddenly I heard scratching on the back porch door when I turned on the light. I opened it and Jenny was there whimpering and shaking like a leaf. I live pretty far up north, so it was literally 35 degrees out, felt colder. She had her leash on with the other end was wrapped around one of the back porch pillars. I woke up Kevin. He was groggy but snapped awake when he saw I was home. I guess the one good thing is he didn't even bother trying to lie. He said he fell asleep watching a movie and forgot to feed Jenny. Her barks woke him up and he didn't even try to make her food the right way. I could tell because the food bowl was still on the kitchen floor. She was so hungry she ate a bite or two but then started yipping while trying to jump on his lap. She wouldn't quit, so he ended up losing his temper and tied her outside with a couple towels thrown on the ground next to her. What if an animal had come and dragged her away? Or if she had frozen to death or something? She's literally spent a good 60% of her life in little sweaters my grandma gets her. She must have been miserable. She even flinched when he got up to walk towards me. He said his dogs as a kid were just fine sleeping outside. Well, no shit, they were fine. He grew up on a farm. They were all bred working dogs who at least had a barn to sleep in. It escalated and he yelled that I'm just as much of a pain in the ass as the dog. I told him to get out. I own the house and everything is in my name. At least he could get a motel or something. Jenny was stuck in the cold. He left after that. He sent one text saying he was at his brother's apartment. He said he loved me and would wait for an apology. Jenny's back with grandma now. I haven't told her what happened. I'm so ashamed I don't even know what to say. It's been a few days now. My friends said I was nuts and kicking him out at 3 a.m. was a huge overreaction. I was so exhausted that night I couldn't control my emotions as well as I should have. This whole incident has made me rethink our relationship. I'm still very upset with him and I'm strongly considering just ending this relationship now, but despite my feelings, I'm maybe thinking I went too far. For now I'm just reflecting on whether I was too harsh on him or not. Some unbiased, outside opinions would offer good perspective. AITAH, TLDR. My grandma had surgery so I watched her dog at my house. My BF doesn't like spoiled, purse dogs, so I did all the dog care. I returned one night and I saw the dog purposely left outside in the freezing cold by my BF. My BF said it was no big deal and I was overreacting by being upset. Then I kicked him out at 3 a.m. to the cold when he didn't seem sorry at all. Was that an overreaction over a dog? And to the last story of the day. AITAH if I inform a guy his fiancée is cheating and sending nudes via Snapchat? Yesterday I, single M, received an add friend on Snapchat from a random woman who lives about 40 minutes from me. I asked if I knew her somehow and she said no. I immediately asked if she was single and she said she was. We had a great conversation all day getting to know each other. Towards the evening, the conversation ultimately turned spicy, with pics ultimately being exchanged between us along with spicy dialogue. I didn't even get her name so I asked her today and she told me. Well, after a quick Google search, I found her full name and realized she is in fact engaged and has been for a year. I found her wedding invite blog that clearly shows she is the same woman and is set to be married in 50 days. I again asked when her last relationship ended and she told me in May of 2022, lying again. Having been cheated on in my past with an ex using Snapchat, this makes me sad for her fiancé. Will I be the if I contact her partner and send him screenshots showing that she sent nudes to a stranger she just started talking to and wants to meet for a date? Update, April 24th in the evening. I have sent an email laying out in detail what transpired and how I eventually figured out what I was involved in to her fiancé. I just included a face pic as an attachment and was completely transparent and apologetic. I indicated that I had pictures of most of the chat I had taken with a different phone if he wanted proof. Hopefully the email address I found online is still active. That being said, I know it was the right thing to do. Still, hard to not feel awful knowing someone's life is about to be turned upside down because I accepted a friend request and chatted with a woman who said several times she was single. I also sent him a message on Facebook from a throwaway profile, telling him to check his email for my message.